So we are talking about grace this month. And today, since it's the week of American Thanksgiving, I thought I would talk about how grace and gratitude are so intertwined. So my talk title today is Grace-Filled Gratitude. You know, as we... Kelly, would you shut that door? That's gonna go crazy all day. So remember when we were talking about grace. Grace is the undeserved divine assistance. Things that we don't have to do anything to get. It's things that are naturally bestowed upon us, brought to our experience by the presence of the divine in our lives, as we become more in touch with that, as we become more consciously aware of the presence, then that experience of grace is amplified. We recognize it quicker. We see those moments when it may appear like anything else but grace. Those moments when we say extra grace required, that we can actually begin to see that presence of the divine moving through those situations as well as the situations that we want to experience. And when we amplify that with the practice of gratitude, you know, gratitude is one of those spiritual practices that can't be done enough. There is no way that we can be grateful enough for everything that we have in our lives. Science has shown us, study after study after study, has shown us the effects and the benefits of gratitude in our lives. They do these studies called fMRIs, which is a functional MRI test, where they have people actually doing something while they're engaged, while they're tapped into the MRI equipment, being scanned as they are engaging in these spiritual practices. And it is so fascinating to watch the areas of the brain that light up when people are practicing gratitude or some of the other spiritual practices that have been studied that way. And to actually see how it is physically changing our brains when we practice it. I was recently reading a study from Harvard Health, which is a division of the Harvard University. And it says that gratitude helps people feel more positive. It helps us relish the good experiences. It also helps us deal with adversity whenever we're having those experiences that we would rather not have. Gratitude helps us build relationships, and gratitude helps us improve our health. And so when we think about grace in conjunction with all those things, grace is that ease of movement that we don't have to do anything to deserve. And think about that in every one of those situations. When we have grace in building relationships, there's an ease about it. There's a perfection to it. There's a way that it becomes more than you could even possibly think it might become when we are engaged in the practice of recognizing the grace that is already there and then being grateful for that. And so as you think about every area of your life, if you're experiencing a health challenge and you think about bringing in extra grace into that situation, as you are dealing with medical personnel or the therapist or people that are annoying you or anything else that has to do with it during that situation, if we can add a little extra grace there, then our experience is quite a bit different than it might possibly be. When we can add that grace into it, then, things are just sweeter in our lives. Things just become nicer and sweeter in our lives. And of course, that just builds in that sense of gratitude. If everything is happening better in your life, then you're naturally more grateful for it. And so as we begin to work with those ideas of allowing grace to move through us, and then finding the ways that we can be grateful for it. You know, grace is such a powerful idea in our lives. You know, so oftentimes we think that we had to do something to get it. But as I've talked about the last 2 weeks, it is something that is just naturally bestowed upon us. You know, we are under the influence of this divine presence that doesn't judge anything, that is only seeking to express itself in the highest and greatest ways possible through everyone. And as we become receptive to that, then that's what we experience. You know, oftentimes they say, there's a phrase, the veil is thick. And when I think about that, the veil is thick, means to me that the person who is unwilling to recognize the presence of grace in their life, it's the person who hasn't allowed themselves to experience it frequently enough that they recognize it when it happens. It's the people that are just kind of unaware of the nature of the universe and the nature of spirit as it's moving into form. And their life experience is quite a bit different than those who have embraced it and have become more conscious of their relationship with spirit and the way that it works in the world. And there's so much there to be grateful for when we have that understanding, when we have that practice. Now, last week I mentioned that phrase, there but for the grace of God go I. When we are in conscious union with spirit, then grace is the nature of our day. Grace is the thing that is moving through us in every situation. Grace is what allows us to go into a situation that we're not sure what's going to happen and remember that this is just God meeting God. That as I enter this door, I am only going to be greeted by the presence of the divine. And as I can remember that, then my experience in that situation becomes one of ease and grace, one which I can certainly be grateful for it. Ernest Holmes says this in the Science of Mind textbook. It says, gratitude is one of the chief graces of the human existence and is crowned in heaven with a consciousness of unity. Words spoken in gratitude are affirmations of the divine presence, divine abundance, and the divine givingness of life. If you remember the first week, I spoke about how Ernest defines grace. He says grace is the givingness of life. And gratitude here is one of the chief ways that we experience grace. It is one of the ways that allows us to be in conscious recognition of the good that's already happening in our lives right now. It is the thing that allows us to be in that experience of grace more easily. Oftentimes we think of grace, it has to be a certain thing. It has to be a certain way. I was reading one of Elizabeth Gilbert's books earlier this week, and in there she's telling a story of having a discussion with her sister, Catherine. Somebody's friends had just had a death in their family. And Elizabeth Gilbert says, oh my goodness, they need extra grace right now. And Elizabeth's sister says to her, no, what they need is casseroles. And I started thinking to myself, but casseroles are grace. Casseroles are a way that grace is showing up in this family situation right now. They probably don't need somebody to come in there talking about high and holy ideas right now. But they could certainly use somebody there to provide their next meal for them. And that is a way that grace shows up for them. That is a way that grace can be expressed. And so it's in the little things that we do in life that also bring that presence of grace into our existence more often. And it's the way that we share God's grace with other people. It's through those little things that we do. The ways that we support other people in our community, people in our families, people around us. It is a way that we are able to express gratitude through grace into our lives. Because we have been so blessed. Not because we deserved it, just because we're recognizing that we've been so blessed. We are so grateful then to be able to share that with other people around us and have that expression of gratitude around us. You know, this is the time of the year where traditionally we come together in families and friends to celebrate all of the blessings that we have. How many of you remember sitting around the table, everybody saying what they were grateful for as they started before they started their Thanksgiving meal? I remember as a child doing that. I remember with my nieces and nephews. And, you know, by the time the family had started to grow, we were about 20 people deep. And it was like, this took a long time. And those little kids were getting a little anxious about when the food was going to come because they had to get through everybody saying what they were grateful for. But what a wonderful expression of gratitude that becomes in our lives. And a way of us recognizing the grace that is felt when we come together in a community that way. This past 2 weeks, I have been at our new building a lot. And I was telling Joe, if we were here when he started the music this morning, he started with Ricky Byers' song, "The Spirit of God is Upon Me." And so every time I open up the doors and walk into the building at the new center, I put my phone out, and I put that song on as loud as I can, and I walk through the building singing it. Now, most people would probably look at me like, oh my God, what is she up to now? But it's because I can't carry a tune, and I don't really care whether I can or not. I'm going to sing anyway. But it's just me and Ricky there in the building at that moment, and we are just having a ball because I am so grateful for what is unfolding here in our new center. I got the privilege on Friday of spending about 5 hours with 2 beautiful young adults helping me put together office furniture and the youth classroom furniture at the center. And what a great experience that was to just be in community with these young people that are such a blessing to our center already, and I know that will continue to be so. And that is a big tribute to their parents who raised them so beautifully. So thank you, Kelly and Chris Marshall, for your wonderful children that you've gifted the world with. And I'm truly grateful for it because it is enlivening our community. That opportunity to bring life, bring grace into the building is such a wonderful expression of what's happening. We had something, I'm not going to tell you what it was, but there was something that happened on Thursday that absolutely brought me to my knees crying because I was so overwhelmed with the beauty and the magnificence and the generosity of spirit that brought this about. And you'll see it on the first day on December 3rd when we open up our center. And, it is just a magnificent unfolding of this vision that we have held for our center for the last 4 years. So this month I've been bringing together handfuls of people from the community to vision. And one of the things that keeps coming through in the visioning is this phrase, host, not guest. That each one of the people that come to our center are not necessarily guests there, but they are hosts there because this is our center. It is our building. It has been brought to you by the consciousness of the people in this room and the people that have come before them and the people that will follow them. This building that we have, we are hosting other people there, but we are the owners of it. And we are the ones who are bringing that presence of grace into it, into each chair, each seat that is being occupied in that building. What a magnificent opportunity we have to do that, to bear witness to what is unfolding through the grace of God that has brought us to this moment. On the back table over here, I have several sign-up sheets for service teams, because as I said, this is our center. It is up to us to make it a reality. And so we need usher teams. We need welcoming teams. We need hospitality teams. And we need a cleanup crew. Justin has volunteered to head our cleanup crew. He loves cleaning. I don't get that, but he loves cleaning. So I'm sure his wife is eternally grateful for that, but I just don't quite get that. But for some people, cleaning is a joy, and cleaning is a beautiful expression of service to God. I look at often read stories about the monks like Thich Nhat Hanh, who had some of his greatest spiritual awakenings washing dishes in the monastery in Vietnam. When he washed dishes in the monastery in Vietnam, they didn't have hot water, and they didn't have soap. So he cleaned the dishes with ashes and cold water, and it became a spiritual experience for him. We have hot water and we have soap, so you don't have to worry about that. We don't have to deal with that. And we've got a whole supply of cleaning stuff. But it's an opportunity to be in service and to experience the grace of God in a different way. As we know that we are preparing our beautiful, beloved center for everyone that walks in there. And we're treating it as if it is our home. And that we are inviting people into our home. We imbue the very building with that love, with that grace, with that gratitude. If you all remember a year ago in June, we had a building blessing, and you wrote on stones, little white stones. People put their names on them and what they wished for the center. They are buried in the concrete. I went around with a shovel and dug holes and buried them before the concrete was poured. So you are the foundation of the church. You are the very foundation that people are going to be walking across. The grace that is in you is coming up through that floor and touching everyone that enters the building. Before the wallboard was put up, I brought the practitioners in. We wrote blessings on every single stud in that building. The walls are filled with the grace of God as it was presented to the practitioners, and they wrote on there the blessings that they wished for the center. As you walk in the very door, those blessings hit you. You can feel them coming through. I can't help but be overwhelmed with the gratitude that I feel for what is unfolding here for our center. And I know that you all will feel it too. Justin and I have been working on the order of service. Joe has got a magnificent team putting together lighting and video, and the screen is already hung, so you'll have your affirmation up there so you can take a picture of it and we'll be able to remember it and say it along with our practitioners. The words of the songs will be on the screen. The screen's already hung. We're just waiting for the rest of the equipment to be put into place. On Tuesday the 28th, our furniture is coming from the storage sheds where it's been for the last 3+ years to our new center. If any of you are available, we would love to have some help. We need to dust everything. We need to clean everything up. You don't have to move it, but it does need to be spruced up. Justin's already brought his big shop back. Lots of cleaning rags. Like I said, the man likes to clean. So, Tuesday, November 28th. So I'm going to meet the people at the storage shed at 8 o'clock. So probably by 10 o'clock, we need people at the church. So that, and then we're going to put this in an e-blast to you, so to remind everyone about that. But if you at all want to see the place, I am there almost every day right now. So if you want to come by and see it, usually I'm gone by 4 because I try to miss the traffic in the afternoon. But usually between 10 and 4, I'm there at the building. So if you ever want to come in and just see what's happening in there right now, we're still waiting on the floor to be finished in the sanctuary, but we know that will happen in the perfect and right time too. So we're waiting for the labyrinth to get here from Pennsylvania. So speaking of labyrinth, we have a fabulously talented graphic person in our midst. I know you guys aren't going to be able to see this very well, but I will bring it around later. So Kelly Marshall's created a logo for our labyrinth, and it says "Walk with Us," and then a picture of the labyrinth, and then CSLGLV. And I've made stickers for car windshields. And so if you're interested in having one, this is the large size. It's holographic material, so it shows really well. You can see it on my car out in the front right now. If you're interested in it, if you don't know which car is mine, it's the orange copper-colored SUV that says "revved up" on the license plate. And it has one of those big stickers on the window. I'm also making a smaller version that's 7 inches. The big one's 12 inches. So if you are interested in these, they do take me a while to make them on my friend calls it my girlfriend. Cricket is her name. So on my Cricket machine, I make the labels. So it takes me a while to do them. But if you are interested in putting one on your car that says "Walk with Us" and has our website on there for information, please let me know, and I'll make some. I'll make them up for you. I'll be happy to do that and have them here, some of them here next week and further on. No charge or anything. This is just a gift. I love doing it. It keeps me busy and out of trouble, and it's always a good thing. But anyway, if you're interested in that, it's just another expression of gratitude, another way of showing who we are and what is unfolding here for our center. We only have one more week here. This has been a beautiful place to meet. It really has been an absolute blessing to be in this place right here. It was found through God's grace. The director of the place happened to be attending Kelly Marshall's workshop last year and said they were looking for a church. And Kelly said, "Oh, we're looking for a place to meet." Look at that. God brought us together just perfectly and beautifully. And so we have been here and we have loved every moment of it. And we are so grateful that we are so close to being in our new center right now. And so, hallelujah, exactly. Thank you, Doug. Yes. Hallelujah. So, let's take this into prayer. If the practitioners would like to stand and surround us, I appreciate that. And so with that overwhelming sense of gratitude, knowing that the grace of God has brought us to this moment, I simply recognize that presence in, through, and as each one of us. And I know that that presence is also the life of our center, our beloved new spiritual home that is beautifully and magnificently making itself available to us right here and right now. And so knowing that there is only this one power and presence, and knowing that it lives and moves and breathes through each one of us, I know that right now each one of us is that presence of grace, that it moves through us into expression in every avenue of our lives, in every encounter that we have, in every relationship, in every challenge, in every form of adversity. I know that this one power and presence is the dynamic life force of all. And I am just so filled with gratitude to know this. I am so filled with gratitude to see it moving itself into expression right here and right now. And most of all, I am so filled with gratitude for the way that it is becoming our new beloved Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. And so I release this word into the law, into the creative mind that knows absolutely no limitation. I let it go and I let it be. And so it is.